Meeting called to order today is May 7th, Town Council meeting in the Town Council Chambers, 1170 Main Street, West Warwick, Rhode Island. Is now 6:33 PM.
Roll call. Councilman Dennison.
Here.
Councilman Lichardi.
Here.
Councilman Messier.
Here.
Council Vice President Williamson.
Here.
Council President Goslin.
Here.
Quorum is declared. Consent agenda. Approval of the minutes from the April 23rd regular Town Council meeting and executive session.
Move approval of the consent agenda?
Second. Moving second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Sal's not here yet, so if we can go back to F. So I'd make a motion to move G up. Well,
Motion to move item.
actually, we don't have to, we can just go back to it, I guess, right?
All right,
Yeah,
there
we
you
don't have
go.
to do nothing. All right, we're on G, public hearing.
Public hearing. Request from James and Ashley Rita for abandonment of a portion of Tiffany Avenue.
Move approval of the request.
Second. Mr. Cronin, how are you?
Good. Hope everyone's enjoying the nice day in here. But, so Tom Cronin, counsel for James and Ashley Rita. I'm here for, I know I'm wearing you guys out with this one, I apologize. Here for a public hearing on a petition for abandonment of a portion of Tiffany Avenue. Procedurally, it was introduced to the council on March 19th, 2024. Their abutters were notified, advertised for 3 consecutive weeks. I appeared before the council on April 3rd, 2024. At that time, I requested a continuance to a date certain until today in order to go to the zoning board of the town of West Warwick. In the interim, I applied to the zoning board for a variance to have frontage on Mary Avenue rather than Tiffany Avenue, as was originally platted. We had a public hearing before West Warwick zoning on April 24th, 2024, and they granted the relief that I applied for to have the frontage on Mary Avenue as well as a variance because the frontage was not enough linear feet. So now that that has been established, the front door, as it appears, is on Mary Avenue now. We've established that. And I'm back before you to request an abandonment of the northernmost 92 feet of Tiffany Avenue in the town of West Warwick. The area to be requested has never been used as a street and is currently an undeveloped wooded forest. The area is 40 feet wide by 92 feet long, 3,664 square feet in area between Ethel Street and Mary Avenue. As I mentioned, the petitioners live at 57 Mary, and one half of the abandoned area would be merged with their rear yard, 1,832 square feet. AP 14, lot 35 is the other abutting lot. It's currently vacant undeveloped land. It's owned by TSVP 1996-1 LLC. And the other half of the abandoned portion would go to that lot, and that's 1,838 square feet pursuant to the statute. None of the lots abutting Tiffany Avenue approaching this area of abandonment have been developed. It's kind of wet in that area. There's no, there are no abutting houses on Tiffany Avenue. There are abutting houses on Mary and Ethel, but they have public access on those respective streets. So I'm asking the council to abandon this short portion on the northernmost end of Tiffany Avenue. If the council so agrees, we'd present an administrative subdivision to the West Warwick planner for her review and approval to add the area of those lots to the respective abutting lots as I've described. I do have the survey that Mr. Boyer prepared in anticipation of this request. If I know it has been presented to you once before, but I'm not sure you have it in front of you.
There's no changes since the last time you came?
No,
before us,
just the
correct?
zoning hearing. Thank you. Yeah. I should have
There
started
there
off
was
with
some
that. right?
confusion with road naming, though, if I remember correctly.
Well, we
Oh,
actually
Mr.
originally asked for Mary instead
Mary
of
instead
Tiffany,
of
but
Tiffany.
they changed it.
Ends with a Y.
Exactly. And you had some issues, Alan. You're good now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Both the zoning board and the town planner and I have discussed it. We're in favor of what's going on because what he's asking, it's
Makes sense.
It's trees.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
I, like I, said to last month, I've been to the property. I spoke with Mr. Rita. He showed exactly what he wanted to do. I don't see any issue at all with that, so.
The whole reason for it was if they didn't put the frontage
Right.
on the backyard, they wouldn't have enough, it would have been an illegal
Right.
two-lot
Yep.
subdivision. So they made the backyard, front yard, the front yard back.
Any questions from the council? Any public comment on this matter, since it's a public hearing? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes here, have it. Hear it.
Thank you, Council. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cronin.
Town council acting as a liquor commission, transfer of Class BV liquor license from Warwick Hotel Partners LLC doing business as Spring Hill Suites by Marriott Providence West Warwick to Manal Inc. doing business as Spring Hill Suites by Marriott West Providence West Warwick.
Move approval of transfer.
Second.
Moving second, any discussion? All up to date on taxes and whatever? I see a head shake, yes. So-
I didn't know off the top of my head, but if you guys can
It's
just.
all
a
subject to
public
that.
subject to,
Yes,
I
subject to.
appreciate
Yes.
that.
Any public comment? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Business licenses, request from the dog dealership for an amplifier loudspeaker permit for an event to be held June 22nd, 2024 at 100 Factory Street. Request from the dog dealership for a dog show license, request from the Church of Christ the King for a raffle license, and request from Rake and Pools for a Sunday and holiday sales license.
Move approval of the licenses.
Second. For the record, Councilman Messier recused himself. Any comments or questions? Any public comment? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Appointment and resignations. Request from William Malloy for reappointment to the planning board for term ending July 2027.
Actually, I'm going to ask that we table these two appointments. There seems to be some confusion regarding the planning board and what positions were being applied for. And if we could entertain them in June, since the next meeting is actually the financial town meeting.
Make a motion to table?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have, it's tabled.
So if I can add one more thing, and Tim and Al, I guess I would ask your opinion on this. We seem to run into this confusion when someone leaves the board. Is there any way we can put a rule in place that doesn't conflict with the charter, I don't think, that says an alternate, the longest standing alternate automatically has a right to the seat. If they don't want it, the second, something, if you guys can think about that.
Because it's an appointed position and because there is a clear distinction between a regular member and an alternate, I don't know if there can be an automatic provision, but we can certainly look at it and come up with an answer.
It just seems that we chase our tails and we wind up waiting sometimes 4 and 6 weeks to get that second appointment in, and that doesn't make sense to me.
Years ago, there was a discussion about putting out feelers, whether or not you were interested in certain boards and commissions to kind of create like a farm system that if the people were still interested in it, maybe a year or two from now, they would be there, but that kind of fell by the
Well, that would,
wayside.
yeah, that's a little different than
I
these
would- I
people
would
are already
suggest-
appointed. They actually sit in on meetings. They actually vote in meetings when they're
It
on.
sounds perfectly feasible, but like I said, because it's an appointed position and there is a distinction, Al and I can take a look at it to
So-
figure out if it's legally permissible to do what you're
If
suggesting.
we could do that, it would certainly streamline things, and we certainly don't have people knocking down our doors to get to
Understood.
these boards and commissions. So if we could do that, that would be great. So if you guys could look at that.
The other issue that I have complained about in the past is in the charter. I think the day of having to have 3 people from one affiliated with
Oh.
one body and 2, and I would,
That's a charter issue, so we maybe should address that between now and November, because it would
just-
have to be
Just
on.
talking about that.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think it's okay.
If I may, I think the charter revision questions that you may have on not only this topic, but others put out a separate agenda
Yes.
item, so you
Yep.
don't go
Yep.
follow the,
yeah, I
agenda
think that's a
tonight.
great idea. But thank you. If you guys could come up with something that hopefully we could indeed streamline, it would be great. Thank you. Did we vote to table that? We did.
New business, discussion action, town council rules of procedure.
motion?
For what? I mean, it says discussion.
It's not voting, right? Do we need to?
I guess I would move approval of the rules as presented then.
Second.
Move and seconded, Sarah? I know you've been working very diligently on this.
Thank you. If you guys have any changes that you'd like to make to them.
I think it was we may stumble upon something as we go along, so I think it's a living document that we might have to change whenever we need to or come across something, but
And
I think
the
it's a
language
great,
is written that you can do that.
right out of the box, I think it's a great job. Thank you for putting it together.
You're welcome.
Any questions, concerns? I'm not taking a vote here
The
tonight.
vote.
It says action,
Does say action.
so
Does anybody have any suggestions for changes or anything?
Nope.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Discussion action, current homeless site locations and future plan for the homeless population.
So I put this on the agenda. And I've been in talks with Chief Barone, who is our direct liaison from the town. And we actually started to talk about this a few months ago. But we had budget talks, and I think this is a very important topic. I didn't want it to go by the wayside. And so I'm actually putting this on because I've been getting a lot of calls since we put the playground up at Flat Top. And it's people that don't know what's going on. They only know what they see, and they see a brand new playground, it's beautiful, and they see all the tents in the woods. So with that, people don't know, they don't know. So lately, the last couple of weeks, the questions became more of a concern. And the questions to me, even today, when I went and visited at 8:30 this morning, there was a man up there with his kids, and he says, "How does the town let this happen? How many people are back there? Should we be alarmed? Are there any other playgrounds in town?" And it was very clear of, all right, we're here, but my eyes are on my kids, but I'm looking that way. So there is concern. We have concern on social media, which I know blows up way out of the water. I'm not looking to turn this into a big gripe session. I think it needs to be discussed. I personally, we've talked about this to death with the gazebo. We know it's a national issue, it's a state issue, it's a town issue, almost everywhere. My only concern is I don't feel that we should have people living in the woods this close to a playground that we're in charge of or a ball field. The people that are living there, I don't know anything about them. I don't know if there's 2, 10, 12. They may be harmless, but they may leave and other people might come in that are not harmless. So if I have a decision in this, is I think they need to be removed from that location. Where they go, I do not have the answer, but my answer is not near a ball field or a playground.
So I just want to point out, and I know your section made the news. My section has not. But my section and Mary Beth's section is River Point Park. And between East Main to River Point Park, there's over 25 tents, 20 to 25 tents. At one time, they were all brought out of that area down to one individual. And I was specifically asked, can we leave that one individual there for now until we can figure out what we're going to do? Pulaski Street became an issue. Vacated out of there, and guess where they all went? That way. Okay, so I know it's a problem in your ward, it's a problem in my ward. I have business owners that are seeing piles of trash on the side of their property every single morning. Our town is picking up piles of trash every single morning. And the first thing that a landlord said over to me was, I got a 4-family house over here, I gotta bring a dumpster in, but yet the town picks up theirs every single day. How do I fight that argument? I can't. It's true. We are paying for trash removal of these sites. Why a landlord who's paying $12,000 a year in taxes has to put a dumpster in his property and has to worry about what's going on back there, has to worry about fires, have to worry about people falling off cliffs, have to worry about our rescuers going in to save them. So I understand what's going on up in your area, which I think is 4 to 6 people, but every time somebody comes out of your area, it comes down to our area to 20 to 30 people. So I don't know what to do. And I feel for your area, but our playgrounds in our parks, because there's a playground in River Point, there's ball fields in River Point, there's basketball courts, tennis courts, and guess where they all are? It's the same situation. It's I appreciate the news doing a story on Flat Top, but they should have done a story on all of West Warwick around the playgrounds, not just that one. And I know parents called them about it, but it still should have been a little more understanding, because people in your section that I've had conversation with doesn't even know what's going on down at River Point. They just know what's going on at Flat Top. So that's, when you tell them there's 20 to 30 people down there, like, no, I'm like, yeah, we got a bigger problem. Again, we've been meeting, we've been having conversations, we've been doing a lot of things, but, unfortunately, I'm not sure how much the state's doing. They're dishing a lot of money out, but where's it going? Nobody really can understand. So I feel, and I understand what you're saying, but I just want to point out that they come down our section and then we're dealing with it. And yes, you don't get the calls anymore because they're out of your section, which is great. But I'm getting the calls for
Well,
East Main.
It's not
The
about.
fact
pushing-
is, it's all West Warwick.
It is,
We're not
right,
section by
exactly.
section.
I'm-
This is
I'm
West
naming
Warwick.
this
and
because
yes,
I'm the
yes.
councilman for Ward 4 and these girls coming to me. So that's why I put that
Yep.
on the agenda.
Yep.
I know not enough. I know more about Ward 4 than the issues going on where you are.
Yep.
But they are main issues and I think we need to do a little more to hit them head on.
So it is my understanding that there is a case before the Supreme Court that is going to decide what cities and towns and municipalities can do
So-
and cannot do. And we are in constant contact with the state, but
So-
Mark, I'll let you.
So obviously, this is a multifaceted issue. If you move beyond the causation of homelessness, which there are a variety of causes,
Mhm.
and you move on between the multi-agency partnerships that are currently in place and working hard to come up with some viable resolutions, which is obviously a struggle. Those are two separate conversations that can be prolonged. The chief can speak more intelligently on the multifaceted approach that we've been taking. If you boil it down to that, you say you just don't want them on public land, because that's what I'm hearing, then you need enforceable constitutional ordinances and laws.
We do. We have a no camping ordinance.
We don't.
I beg to differ. It was
We,
Given to me.
we've searched it. We have,
We'll bring it in.
we have some ordinances on, recreational facilities closing from dusk till dawn. I
Wouldn't
don't,
that-
I
wouldn't that
don't think
apply, though?
I don't think that's enforceable. There's, like, the councilwoman said, there is, in Oregon, I believe, something that's made it to the Supreme Court on, that community that spearheaded it, doing anti-tent and sleeping bag laws. And it was through the appeals court found unconstitutional. It's in Supreme Court now. So that's kind of the guidance that a lot of government agencies are relying on at this point. But the multifaceted approach that's happening, since if that's a point of interest, the chief can speak more intelligently on the variety of services and approaches and interactions that are happening on a daily basis to try to make it better. It's just frustratingly slow. And as mentioned, funding is an issue. Hotel voucher systems have lapsed and aren't being renewed. So you had people that have been at hotels for the last year or two that are now out as of a week and a half ago. So we anticipate it'll obviously get worse before it gets better.
The fact is, it's an issue, it's a lot bigger issue than some tents being near Flat Top or near River Point. And I believe we as a community have to work with the state to find a solution to have these unhoused people find places to live. And that's what we're trying to do. It's not that easy. I think that, we all have to be open-minded about, we do have an issue and we have to address it. And
Right.
to say, you can't be here, but have no place for anybody to go, I think is the wrong approach, because we will do what David just talked about. It'll just, it's
So
like whack-a-mole almost.
to that end, because I've been getting, especially this week, a lot of
Yep.
calls and emails. And there's a lot of people that are very, very concerned to have children in that area. So I'm gonna say it, and it's not gonna be popular, and nobody's gonna want to hear this. But I think until we resolve this issue, maybe Flat Top shuts down, maybe River Point shuts down. Because heaven forbid, we allow something to happen. And I'm not saying it will, but I can't say it won't. We don't want, and my constituents don't want children in that area with people coming in and out of the woods. We just spent $83,000 on a beautiful playground for our community, and it's nearly unusable. And if you're using it, you're not using it feeling good about it. So if we have to shut it down, we have to shut it down. Or do we put a police presence there from dawn till dusk, which is another cost? We just cannot be put in a position where something bad could happen to the children in this town. We have knowledge of this. Saying that we don't know what to do about it is not acceptable. And I agree, we don't know what to do about it, but one step is to remove part of the equation. And nobody wants that.
And again, I haven't pushed the issue about removing on East Main. I've pushed the issue about having to clean up every day and having a business owner have to look at it every day, but like I said, I'm not demanding anybody be removed. I'm asking, first for their safety, the residents' safety. There should be some sort of log of who's living back there, and I'm sure there is, but the people of the neighborhood need to know who's living back there, because people on East Main are sitting in their backyard, summertime now, here's the weather, windows are open, things are missing from their yard.
Right.
They have to, propane tanks are disappearing, stuff like that, and they know it's down there, but they're not gonna go down there and get it because they don't wanna be into the situation of, and I'm gonna be honest with you, they have a heart. The people who are upset about it understand it. This is a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation. And, you can judge it by what people are saying online. There's a lot of people that are supportive of the homeless, and there's a lot of people that just don't want it in their community. So again, it's a damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Well, saying that it's a damned if you do, damned if you don't, I agree, but I'd rather be damned if I did.
No, and we got children down at River Point
Right,
consistently.
I know, and they.
We got a
in
playground
my
there that was
opinion-
actually paid for by a grant from HES.
Right, and in my opinion, and in the opinion of many that reached out to me, we shouldn't have them mixing. We shouldn't have them in a situation that puts their safety at risk. And to say that it doesn't, I don't think anybody can say that. I can't say that. I can't guarantee that to people. Our police department, the chief here, everybody does a fantastic job. But it's a ticking time bomb. It really is. And I don't want to see anything bad come out of this.
So,
Chief,
these, what we're talking about, the discomfort in the community, picking up trash, these are all, signs and symptoms of a much larger problem.
Correct.
And trying, the state has a lot of money put forward, a lot of it hasn't been expended, to my knowledge, because they haven't got that brick and mortar place, okay, that's really being prevented from the NIMBYism of not in my backyard. It's a great idea. And this is going on in each community. It's going on in each neighborhood. Okay. I think bringing the resources into one location, okay? Because like there, as many people are out there, I have a rough count of 54 people. There's 54 different reasons people are out there. Having behavioral health, addiction assistance, financial help, nutritional health, all these facets under one roof to help try to get a location to get these individuals in, to get them help to move forward in their lives. I don't think anyone out there wants to be out there. I know that they might not want to go somewhere, all right, and we might hear that, but they don't really want to be out there. That's not their cause in life. So as we deal with the signs and the symptoms in whatever manner and facet that we have to keep our community safe in the public's opinion of our community being safe. That in and of itself is a very important aspect of our jobs. I don't have the answer, but it's bigger than just these are again, symptoms of that bigger problem. And I think that's what we need. We need a brick and mortar facility, whether it's in West Warwick, whether it's in Coventry or Warwick, hopefully we can work with our neighbors in addition to our outreach workers who are going out to the encampments pretty much on a daily basis. So each of these camps are being visited daily by support. And
What are they doing when they go out there?
Different agencies are doing different things. Okay, Thrive Behavioral Health is going out there with that aspect. We have the Parent Support Network, which is going out trying to meet the basic needs of them. Health Equity Zone with Parent Support Network is also providing food, trying to get the individuals to a location that they can then try to help counsel and steer them, get them into coordinated entry system to get them into housing.
Through transportation? You're providing transportation for them?
I can't speak, I don't know how much that they would provide that transportation. Okay, when I say get them, I mean get them online and registered with the state so that when a shelter or when a bed opens, they can get into those.
No, I know you sent an email,
Yes.
a few days ago, and you had mentioned with the hotel program ending.
It's ending. So one of them, one of the people had said that their program had ended. The other programs are ending at May 31st, May 30th, May 3rd, in that area, the end of May. Right now, there's probably, I don't know, I'm hearing about 10 to 12 people that are West Warwick residents that are in those hotel right now that might come back. I don't know what
So
the
come back
total
to
number
where,
of
though?
rooms, God bless you, are.
All right, so they're in hotels, all of a sudden, May 31st comes, you can't be in here anymore.
Yep.
What do? They're standing outside the hotel room door. What do they do? Like, where
So
do they
the
go?
agency, hopefully the agency, I mean, they're gonna be given tents, I guess. I
And-
really can't speak. Did you want? Is
Please,
that right?
yeah.
Does everybody know Kathy Schultz?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm back. I'm here to try to give you information to the best of my ability. I don't know everything. Kathy Schultz, 418 Carpenter Road, Hope, Rhode Island. So as far as the hotel projects, just to clarify, no offense, I don't mean to correct anybody, but none of the hotel projects have closed yet. They are closing on May 31st. The Thrive project, which was the one that was created originally by Help the Homeless RI, it started as a very small, with the support of the town, and it was opened up. So there's about 44 rooms there. They are in transition now, so Thrive is actually doing case management. The state is actually, Rhode Island Coalition and Homelessness and the state are all working together to do case management, case by case for each of the people. So we don't know how many people might end up back in West Warwick, but it is something that it's important that you're aware of that's happening. And like Chief said, I actually don't know how many of those folks were from the original West Warwick, because many were actually housed. that were in the original, like, Help the Homeless.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to just clarify that. To talk about some of the services to like answer that question, just, thank you, Chief. You gave a great narrative of that. But I wanted to just like kind of clarify that a little bit. So Thrive provides the homelessness case management services. They have an outreach team that goes out on a weekly basis. They're out there trying to make sure people are in the coordinated entry system and HMIS system, which is the homelessness management information system. I'm getting scared that I know this all by heart. And that is how people would potentially be put into the system to get vouchers to get housed. We don't, in our state, it's very known that there isn't a lot of units. There isn't a lot of availability of housing. That is why you're seeing this. This is some of the symptoms that you see with the behavioral health. Maybe it was it was a precondition, but it's also being exacerbated by living outside. And I understand what you're saying, and I understand thinking about the kids in schools and the neighborhoods. The thing is that even if you say they can't be there, they have nowhere else to go. And I think somebody said that they're just going to be in the parking lots of businesses. They're just going to move because they have nowhere else to go, right? We know that the bike path goes through 3 communities. And as Chief said, hopefully, maybe I could be wrong, no quote me, but I'm guessing that maybe the other communities are having these conversations too. And so for me, from my thought and with the vision, I've all been here a couple of times, is my thought is one of the things that's missing in West Warwick or in the Kent County area actually is a shelter. Now with the hotel closing, you're not going to have that anymore, right?
Is the
So
hotel closing or
it's closing.
so we still have a hotel?
Yeah, oh yeah,
We have
yeah.
vacant
The
rooms.
shelter project is closing.
Okay, so are those rooms still going to be vacant?
Yes. My understanding is yes.
So we have all these people outside, but we have vacant rooms in the hotel.
That aren't paid for.
Okay, all right.
So the hotel, it was a negotiation. I can't speak for the Department of Housing who is funding it. But it was a project that is ending.
Okay.
So it's actually been 4 years.
Is it
It
ending
started
for
4
a
years ago.
season? Would that be picked up again in the wintertime, or is that something that it's done?
I'm
for
not
good?
sure. I'm not sure. I'm on the continuum of care and we've asked that question. We're not sure, but either way, there's a problem in front of you now. I don't know. And I don't, one of the things that like, I want to say this out loud and I know I'm being recorded, but it is what it is. I love West Warwick. My family like immigrated here. And I want to thank you all. And I mean this from the bottom of my heart that you even have these conversations. And I do think that most of the people that are here, like a large percentage are from West Warwick. They're from the Kent County area. They're not going to leave this area. Like, that's just not going to happen, to be honest, because when we opened the Armory, they did not go to the Armory. They didn't want to go to Providence. So they're not going to leave this area. But at the same time, I also know that West Warwick has been very patient and very supportive of the people that are experiencing homelessness and that are outside. I mean, you have some amazing champions that are community-based organizations, as well as the council, chief, town manager, I want to call him a chief, I can't help it. And all of you have been champions in this. So the only thing that I can suggest, and this is up to you all to think about, is there a place where it would be okay for them to camp?
Well, before we get to that, I'm gonna turn it back. Now, you just said that they didn't want to go to the Armory. Is
No,
that-
they would
that
not go to
still-
Providence. Oh, yeah, they're not
Is
going
that
to,
still a viable option for
No.
those that do want to go?
no, they closed.
Okay,
They closed a
cool.
long time ago.
Let me ask you a question, and again, gonna put a neighbor and community under the bus a little bit, but East Greenwich just opened up 1476 South County Trail to, I think, a couple of hundred affordable housing
Mm.
units. Well, I've been in there a lot, and you talk to people who are in there, and they're moving from Warwick. It seems like a lot of moving from Warwick. So these affordable housing aren't going to people who are out of a house. They're going to people who are housed and they're not happy where they are, and they're going over to East Greenwich to a nice area behind Dave's Market, right?
And they include a voucher, which
So,
the
but-
people
but
outside
again,
don't have.
Why is the state allowing that type of stuff to happen when we have homeless that probably could get vouchers and probably get
Right.
help and go into the, well,
It's unfortunate. We're waiting on vouchers too.
but again, I mean, we're helping people who are housed
Mhm.
by opening up
Yeah.
low-income housing facilities in East Greenwich. It's
Yeah.
a beautiful facility,
And it's Kent County.
but they're coming out of Warwick to East Greenwich. And now I don't know if if housing's available in Warwick for some of these people. But when somebody opens up a couple hundred units, it's amazing that the people who are homeless don't get it first, and the people
Mhm.
who are actually in a home don't, get it because they're not happy where they're living or they want to change.
I don't disagree with you. I think vouchers are also not readily available. They've been
No.
applied for, but they're not here quite yet.
And I know that the current thinking is a regional approach, and as you just said, from what I'm hearing and some of the discussions that we've had over the last many, many months, people do have an affinity that, I'm a West Warwick person, I want to be in West Warwick. And they don't want to be in Coventry, and they don't want to be in, and I am all for, if we have a place for them to go, which I think we need to develop a place for homeless people to go, I am all for saying, you can't be here because you do have a place to go. Doing that in absence of having a place to go, I struggle with that. I struggle with that concept. I understand the concern of kids at the playground.
So I'll ask this rhetorically because I don't want to put anybody on the spot. Like I was put on the spot this week. But how many sex offenders are in the woods? How many drug addicts are in the woods? We don't-
I'm a person in recovery, so,
That's.
so I was a drug
I commend
addict.
you for that. I
Mm.
really do. And you seem to have gotten past that part of your life that was
Mhm.
troublesome, and I really do commend that. But these are the questions that are asked of me. And then when I say I can't answer that question, then the next question is, what makes you think it's a good idea to have children within 50 feet of people that we can't identify what their issues are?
That's why I think that what Chief was saying earlier was if we had, and what I think that Councilwoman Williamson was also saying is that if we actually had a place, then we could have a handle on them
But we
and they would
don't.
be in one place. I
We
know.
don't.
And
So
there
we have to
isn't
work
one
to-
coming
well,
anytime soon. It's
I
gonna
think we
take.
should work to find one, quite honestly.
I know Kathy, when we talked about this
I know.
before, I mean, obviously, Plan A is the place. So, but we don't have Plan A. So
Mhm.
right now, we're kind of just status quo, waiting.
What about a sanctioned a sanctioned area where, for the moment, in the immediate, where they could actually have their area where they're, because so West Warwick has been amazing with, you see in the news, other areas that aren't like you all, where people aren't being asked to move, right? And that on public property, they're able to stay, and could be for reasons because it can't be enforced, who knows what it is, doesn't matter, but I thank you for that. Point is, though, is to your points of, if you really want to know what the situation is with the folks, then having them in a place where they feel like sort of safe, maybe they have a little bit of some humanity, where they're not having to go to the bathroom outside because they have they have a porta potty, and, that kind of stuff might be helpful to start the process while we continue to talk about a location. I do agree with you on the West Warwick thing, but I can tell you that most people were willing to go to the Motel 6 project, which is actually Warwick. Some wouldn't, but most were. So I think that, I don't know where the location is. I know that West Warwick has been constantly, especially Chief Barone, looking for properties. Wendy, everybody has been looking for property in this community.
So you're looking for a piece of public land.
I'm not, I'm facilitating conversations
No,
to
no, I'm
say,
just, I
let's
just want
think
to hear
about the
what you're saying.
regional area and see what could be nearby. I do love your point, though. I do agree with you that if there is permanent supportive housing and there are empty units, people should be the first ones that are outside to get into those units. Unfortunately, if they don't have vouchers, because it has to be a subsidy attached. You know what I mean? But anyway.
What's the process for a voucher? Like, how does somebody go about applying
They
and
have to
getting
be
accepted?
available. Yeah, so that's what the whole HMIS system is. That's why that part of this is so, so important. And that's why it's so important for them to be in an area where they're, because
They know
when
who-
you're living in a tent, you're in, you're out, outreach workers come to try to see you. They can't always get to you to make sure that you're in that system. So that's another thing too, is getting people into the actual system.
Some of the people that are out there, they have vouchers awaiting.
No,
housing.
that hardly any of them have I don't think any of them have vouchers, to be honest with you. We are, I can't, you can't, you don't quote me because I don't know. My role is actually, I'm only here as Kathy, but my role is in a different area, but I do work with, other agencies. The vouchers have been applied for, and I don't know that they are actually here quite yet. So vouchers will come, and Steve in the Housing Authority has been in conversations, like he's super involved in, project-based and all that. But unfortunately, the people that are out there are likely not going to get a voucher anytime soon.
And the voucher would be for like,
Subsidies.
no, I understand that. So could it be for like the towers? Could it be for other housing or could it be for both?
It all depends. There's different types of vouchers. The housing choice vouchers is what was formerly known as Section 8. That can go
Okay.
almost anywhere. And then there's like Steve's in his buildings. I
course.
say Steve like everybody
I know,
knows,
but-
but the Housing Authority,
Yes.
his are different. You apply
It's
directly
the
there.
Westwork Manor, yeah.
Yeah, so.
Okay, thank you.
So right now, we have the same situation. We have that, so. as we
And
put
it's
on the
triple
agenda-
the amount of people now. It's more people than it's probably ever been. And it's like this across the state. So I just want to be
So-
clear that it's not just West Warwick.
Well,
Right, so we have people outside,
Mhm.
intent, so what you're saying is, or asking, or bringing up in conversation, to have a place for
Mhm.
everyone who's homeless in West Warwick to go to, so we don't have a building, it
Mhm.
would be an outdoor location.
If you're
Right.
all agreement. I mean, that is up to you all, because I don't,
I mean, that's
I don't
better.
have the
Brick and
right to
mortar
say
would
that.
be
Well,
the
yeah.
ultimate.
But.
And
yeah,
I
it's
think that's,
location
Yeah.
without
I
the
think
brick and
that's where
mortar,
we
yeah.
should get to.
Right.
But
But you're looking
This is a
for,
temporary. This
So
is
people
very
could do-
takes care of
temporary.
your, and then I have no problem with
people
saying you
could do
need to be there or you need
groups.
to be out.
right, and bring in resources
Right.
with everyone in the
Right.
same area.
And I mean, it might be, being honest about it, it could be that a couple of people might not want to be with some other people, because that's going to happen. It's a community. But the reality is even if there is a place that's safe, that they feel safe and they can have their resources there. But, and again, it's up to the town. It's not up to me. This is just an idea that I'm throwing out there for you guys to think about. And I want to just reiterate what Councilwoman Williamson is saying, that this is very temporary. The goal is to get brick and mortar. The goal in my head is to get a Kent County shelter that is long-term shelters. We want to get to housing and get rid of shelter completely. But for the meantime, there needs to be a short-term goal, an intermediate goal, and a long-term goal. Long-term goal is permanent supportive housing.
Be a shelter and then maybe it would turn into permanent housing. I think.
Well,
there was a
that's what you
pres-
had on
Oh,
Washington
yeah,
Street.
oh my God.
But anyway,
Completely
that's a whole
somewhere.
nother animal.
It's funny, when that happened too, everybody said, well, they didn't want it, and I understand, and I still am not sure I was in favor of that specific location, but I think there should have been a bigger conversation from there to do something else. And then 2 weeks later, everybody's like, well, there's homeless everywhere. We don't want them in the gazebo, we get them out of the gazebo, and now they're everywhere else.
Mhm.
And I feel like we're going in circles, we're having the same conversation we've had over and over again. Nothing's gonna come out of this meeting, nothing productive is gonna happen. I'm sorry if I seem cynical, but we have the same conversation a couple times a year, and nothing comes of it. There's gonna be
No,
more
it's-
homeless people here.
It's more
But
than,
the
it's
issue with
more
the
than a
gazebo
couple times.
wasn't homelessness at all. It was about people who were going to the bathroom on the gazebo.
I understand.
And swearing
Oh,
and needles
don't-
and
no, no,
everything else.
I know.
that it
I'm
was
not
more-
talking-
It was
you're
more
right,
about, it
you're
wasn't
right.
homelessness at all.
you're right
It
about
was
that,
about
but I'm just saying.
disrespect and misbehavior.
You're right, but I'm just saying
That's-
at that point, I remember we had the conversation that the homeless are still gonna be in the community and people were okay with it for a little while because they didn't have to see them at the gazebo, but eventually they're gonna end up in other parts of the town.
And that's, again, it's town property, state property, whatever it may be, because some of and the bike path is state property. So at this point, we talk about the gazebo and why we wanted it cleaned up. Some of these sites, the needles and whatever else is on there, like you said, if a kid, if they, we don't know what's going on there at night. There's no kids there at night. So in your parks, River Point, whatever, if they're dropping needles and all of a sudden the kid's out there playing ball or whatever and gets stuck by a needle, we don't know whose needle that was. We don't know what that needle was for. We don't know anything about the person, right? So I understand both sides of it. I would not want that to happen to my kid or anybody's kid in this community. But and even having our town employees cleaning it up, it's not fair to them.
Not saying.
We're going out there on a daily basis on East Main at the bridge, picking up their trash. And sometimes I see barrels brought out,
And I
It's-
see-
and it multiplies overnight.
see
Like,
both-
it
I do-
starts out a small pile, and then overnight, you go out at 7 in the morning, it's 3 times the
I
size.
see both sides of it, right? Like,
It's
well,
better than
our
having it
other,
back
other
there.
other option is to leave it there, which is worse. It's harm reduction.
Oh.
So I see both sides. I think it's a bad situation all the way
So
around.
So Kathy's point, to have a controlled area,
Mm-hmm.
and then as I said, I would feel far more comfortable in asking someone to vacate an encampment if they have a place to go, whether it's brick and mortar, which is what it should be and where we need to get to.
Well, there's,
But if it was a controlled area where they could make sure there's food security and make sure that there are mental health professionals there, make sure that people can sign up for Blue Cross, that people can,
there's two
That's-
things.
All right,
There's
but-
two things
but-
for that, two big things for that. One is probably the liability for the town to ever set something up and approve
well,
that.
well,
And
but
the
no, 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 no,
You
we
could
wouldn't
get
set
us
it up.
service providers
Yeah,
that
we
would
wouldn't,
probably
we
do
wouldn't
it.
do it,
The
no.
second thing is, and you know this, is a lot of times if they know that we're organizing this, then they're not gonna want to be part of it anyway, right? Some
I
of them.
think we gained some trust with the.
I think
with the-
West Warwick folks are okay.
Yeah.
Other
I think
communities.
But
when-
as a
with
rule,
the
that can
winter
be, that
shelter.
can be a problem,
In
correct?
other communities, not here though.
But back to the agenda item, the current homeless site locations. I made this broad because we know they're all over town. Specific to the one I mentioned at Flat Top, you know, I really take a stance with this is it's not safe. And you just brought up a good point, Dave, about needles. I don't know if people are using needles over there, you know, but we have kids going there. They're too close to the playground, they're too close to the ball field, and it shouldn't be an approved site for people to camp, period. I'm empathetic as the next guy. You know, it really makes me sick to my stomach when you see somebody who needs food, shelter, or clothing. But we're creating an unsafe situation by leaving them there and creating another unsafe situation because our kids are going to this playground. So I'm not looking to bounce people around and I don't know where to tell them to go, but here isn't working.
So the problem is there is nowhere. And that's the thing is like, even if you move them from there, they're gonna go somewhere else because they, like I said, they're gonna end up like, I think this actually happened, if I remember correctly, when there was nowhere to go, they're gonna be in the businesses' parking lots, literally, like, you know, they're gonna be sitting in the middle of town. Maybe they're gonna start going back to the gazebo, you know, like, so that, and I do hear you. I don't disagree with you. And like I said, I get it. But what's the solution, right? The solution is housing, right? Like going back to that, because I never want to say it's shelter.
But that's not a viable option right now.
No,
But
but,
what I'm saying is this location is not working.
right,
And I
so,
don't think it's fair to the people that want to use this location for what it's intended for.
right, and I don't disagree with you, but what I'm saying is that the short term, there's a couple of things like brainstorming and thinking about thoughts is, like I said, having a space or even two spaces, maybe because it'll be too big if you have one, like have two designated spaces where folks can go. They are, you know, basically going to be, they're going to be outreached because they're being outreached anyway. They're going to be outreached, but this is also going to help the service providers. This is going to help the service providers to be able to get out there. I'm not going to confirm that there are needles or there aren't needles, but if there are needles and they're in one place, there's going to be there's going to be a receptacle to get rid of the needles the correct way, right? So that's what I'm saying. And maybe it's not one space because it is a lot of people. Maybe you split it in two spaces. And again, also continuing to have those conversations with our neighbors in our other communities that are abutting West Warwick. And of course, it really is brick and mortar. Brick and mortar is the solution. This is just temporary. But that's just my thought and I'm putting it out there. And you know, I'm always here to help. And I really thank you all for even having these conversations.
The only thing I'm nervous with even approving an area, as soon as we do that, Warwick, Coventry says, hey, we can go there, because they approved it. You know, that's what I'm nervous on. And Vin, I know you're working with the state and so I'm.
No, I don't work with the,
No, I know you've been involved in some.
they've turned their back on this whole issue and to hear Vincent Marzullo,
Thank
28
you.
Coruscant
Yeah,
Road.
thank you.
I mean, to hear some of your statements is troubling because you're going to continue to give the governor and the General Assembly a pass, and they need to be confronted. You can't do nothing or feel that you're not empowered. You got to deal with this issue. I mean, I dealt with this stuff and continue to deal with this intensely for 3 months in Providence at Charles Street, which was like the South Bronx. I had gang leaders, I had tent encampments, I had drug users infiltrating senior housing right in their backyard at Charles Place. So the whole situation, if you do nothing, will have a chilling effect and continue to diminish the community. So you got to put pressure, use the General Assembly members, your advocacy. I stopped at the senior center today to visit with the town's human services director. He's not available. And I couldn't be told when he would be available. Some of the things that you're discussing here today in terms of having coordination of services and information, it would seem to me, if you have a position of a human services director, that individual is going to have point responsibility for what's going on in the town and how the people are being moved. I'm at Mathewson Street. On Wednesdays, I still go up to Charles Street purposely to keep a handle on what's happening there. I run the bingo. So I'm able to talk to all the people in the community as to what's still happening. But on Fridays and on Sunday mornings, I'm at Mathewson Street Church, serving meals, but talking to 200-300 people that are showing up there as to what's going on. There's little confidence today with Stephen Pryor and the operation. People resigned and left the housing office this past week. Some individuals were critical to the support of Stephen, and that's no longer there. I'm on the board of the Senior Agenda Coalition. On a weekly basis, I'm seeing more and more senior citizens showing up for meals in downtown Providence. For like 2 months, I've been asking Stephen for a briefing on the housing situation and the growing older adult homeless population. Get no response. He finally, yesterday, sent me a text message saying he has a new chief of staff and that person would reach out to me. Coincidentally, that happened yesterday, the same day it was the last day of Joey Lindstrom, who left not only the position, but left the state of Rhode Island, and he was recruited nationally to come in here. So there needs to be advocacy and pressure. I also arranged, and I think you all should explore this opportunity. I sat down with Ernie Almonte and I brought Eric Hirsch into that meeting. Some of you may know Eric from some of the media stuff. He's a professor at Providence College. I needed to get Eric together with Ernie to see if that communication could begin, because it never did happen. Ernie acknowledged that there's a working group of some mayors that are dealing with this. The cities and towns need to be organized in dealing with this issue. It's above your pay grade. It's above your resources. You feel stymied by this all. You're absolutely right. You got to be concerned about those kids. I witnessed the abuse to the elderly. And it was also next to a middle school and a baseball field. And nobody wanted to pay attention to it until I showed up. And, I was bored. I'm from Brooklyn. I show up there. Nothing's being done with all of this crime and activity. I took it on. Got the tents out of there. Got the drug dealer out of there. I had car bombings to try and kill people who were sleeping in their cars. If you don't intervene,
You made the news.
well,
No, I watched.
and at times I had to resort to that in order to bring the attention and the resources. You don't need a larger article about what's happening in West Warwick. We pretty much know what's happening in West Warwick. We need a coordinated attack in dealing with this in a humane way. What was annoying to me in bringing the attention that happened there in Alviti with all of his muscle and resources, it was not done humanely. And it wasn't coordinated with Providence PD, the state, and the service providers. They came in there, with their equipment and machinery, and it was harassment, and it wasn't proper. It wasn't the statement you want to make. But I think the cities and towns have really got to put pressure through the league and your state representatives to get a more coordinated effort. I don't know the answer to this, but in 2011, Link Chafee issued an executive order for an interagency council on homelessness. I don't think this is active, and I don't think Stefan convenes the cast of people, public agencies and community in order to deal with this stuff in a more coordinated and strategic way. So I would urge you to make that request almost on a daily basis through your state representatives to Ernie, and however you can do it then directly into the governor's office. Pastor Chris, the deputy chief of staff, he's an embarrassment. I mean, here's a man of the collar, he's the deputy chief of staff to the governor. He doesn't know how to get to first base in coordinating this stuff. So whatever you can do to bring greater attention to this, I think you got to do it, because to do nothing is only going to make it worse.
Absolutely.
Going to make it worse.
Right.
And you don't want to do it like a bully
Nope.
and not be humane, and because the people and the agencies are there to do this in a respectful, responsible way. There's been no convening of them by an individual who has integrity or trust or the religious community to really tackle this. So, I mean, that's my advice and experience and guidance to you. I mean, it's a challenge, but you got to deal with this almost you got to deal with it on a daily basis. And I'm a little bit conflicted and want to know, what does our Director of Human Services do with regard to this issue?
When you say Director of Human Services, are you talking a senior center or?
Well, the title, I believe, is the Director of Human Services. That also doubles as the Senior Center Director.
I could talk to you later about that.
Okay.
Yeah.
But if that can't function currently, there needs to be a substitute, that to have that void in the structure of how we are to govern and serve and protect, we can't do execution. And then, you know, David, I mean, I hear your frustration.
Ben,
but
I feel the same way you do. I have a double-edged sword on this, you know.
Well,
I hear.
But we got to do something.
But I hear about the cleanliness of the river, you know, the embankment of that
2
embankment.
weeks ago, I'm on the bike path with my 4-year-old granddaughter. We parked at River Point Park to go west towards Coventry, just a few hundred yards down there. There's a whole row of tents there. Right? So, I mean, it's not isolated to Flat Top,
No,
the
it's-
entrance way
no,
to 295. I
No,
mean,
but
they've
what
been
I
clever.
what I was trying to point out to Councilman Licciardi, I know he and I had a conversation, and afterwards, you know, it was, brought up to me again, attention-wise, about this, and, you know, yeah, we're vacating one area. At one time, there was only one resident back on East Main. After that got cleaned up, it was cleaned up, and then Pulaski Street became an issue. It
Right.
came here before the council. Pulaski Street seems to be cleaning up a little bit better. I guess our owner over there, well, now we have over 20 that way. So it's, you know, and the problem we have is, all right, we have people who are trying to invest money into the community. You know, we have a new apartment complex that wants to go over there. They just had a storage facility that is just built there. And they're looking and people just bought the post office, different things, and are saying, okay, but if this is coming into the community, I don't think I want to build this
It's an
here.
unfunded mandate.
It's
You've been
crazy.
imposed with an unfunded mandate, and I would even suggest you take a look at either federal or state legal action against the state, because they have shut down services and housing options, and they've turned their back on the local communities, and now you have to go deal with it. How are you going to deal with it?
It's hard, but we're not,
You know,
we're not trained in this.
You know, and
Yep.
when you really don't have all of the people needed around the table.
And I want to say, between our Chief Varone, Chief Levine, all the advocates, all the things that we have in this community that are trying to help us.
Right.
They're teaching us too. And we've been on meetings with them on Mondays.
I mean, I
and
saw it in
whatever.
Providence. I mean, half-hour hourly runs with the rescues from the fire department next door or in the back. The cops have to show up. I mean, it puts a strain on all of our public services unnecessarily, you know?
Correct.
And so these are all unfunded and imposed mandates and conditions that the state really had a responsibility to deal with better. And they've surrendered or walked away or something. Thank you.
I did let the public mistakenly come up and speak without,
Yes, you did.
so there is somebody online with their hand up. So I will let that individual speak.
Hello.
Hello?
Hi, I'm sorry.
State your name and address for the record.
Alexandra Mackin, 36 Sycamore Drive.
Okay.
Sorry, bear with me. It's my first one doing this virtually. My concern is over the discussions you were all just having, and my concern is for safety. I do think that this is a sad situation for everybody involved. I've lived here for a little over 20 years, raised my children here. They went to West Warwick Public School. They are now successful, and they don't want to be here, and I don't blame them. I'm sorry, can you all hear me?
Yes, we can. Yes, thank you.
Okay. You know, they want to continue their lives somewhere else where it's nice, where it used to be here. I used to take them, when we moved here, we would go down the bike path. We would ride from the Westcott area where we lived on Fornelli Street in the Westcott section of West Warwick, and we would ride into Cranston and get ice cream at Sundays and ride back. A young family can no longer do that. In the last 2 years, I've had 2 separate incidents on Main Street, not far from the police station. I had a disturbed individual step out in front of my vehicle on Main Street on my commute from work, and repeatedly punch my car. Several weeks ago, I was going to a business on Main Street, almost directly across from the police station, who spit on me. I don't know if these are the homeless people. I don't know if they're the disturbed people that go to the equity zone. I'm not sure. But either way, I don't feel safe. I'm attending this conference virtually because I have my elderly mother. She's 80. She lives with me here. I have to take care of her. She likes to go to Ferrucci's and no longer feels safe going to Ferrucci's. She likes to go to AJ's, no longer feels safe going to AJ's. I understand that we have a population in need, but we also have a population in need who are receiving their social services right on Main Street. If I were a young person starting to raise a family, I would not move to this town. I cannot picture or imagine rolling a stroller past the fire station, town hall, or the police station with a baby in a stroller with the people that I see daily. I drive that commute every day, 115 over to 116 into Coventry. And the things I see are absolutely abominable. I can't imagine what it's like at River Point. I have not been there in several years. My children are grown. I cannot imagine what it's like going down the bike path. I feel bad for these people, but why in the world is this happening? Why did we allow this to happen in the center of town? You are not going to attract young talent here ever with this happening. My children are young, they're talented, and they're leaving. I own a home here. I have no choice but to live here at the moment. And this is why I'm attending this meeting. I have not attended one before, but I really hope that if there's some way to do something about the safety. I heard a gentleman, it was thinking the same thought, a gentleman here on your panel. Do we know if any of these people are pedophiles? Are they registered sex offenders? Who are these people? They don't have an address. Do they have to register? I saw somebody actively using drugs on Main Street in front of Brookside Liquors next to D'Angelo's. I've seen fights happening with people with all of their belongings in tow right out on Main Street. I feel like I'm driving through South Providence in broad daylight at 5 p.m. when I come home from work. I wish that there was an easy solution. I know that the state, there's significant issues. There's significant issues around the country, as we've all just heard. And I know that in this state, it's particularly terrible. Rents are ridiculously high. We have out of town people owning properties. I sold my home on 26 Frenelli Street. I have no idea who took that over. I think it's an LLC from out of state. And the condition of that property is absolutely horrendous. We're hosting, we're inviting people to come here for a safe haven. And I know that that sounds terrible because there are people that need help. And as the other young woman testified, there are places they can go, but they don't want to. Well, why are you here? Why are you staying here? Why are you spitting on people? Why are you using needles? Why are you closing down our gazebo? Why do you have to be going to why do you punch cars in the middle of the road? It's just not safe. And that's Main Street. If that's what West Warwick wants to be, then you're going to lose everyone. You're going to use the talent. You're going to lose the young people. You're going to lose the things that every community needs. And all you're going to have is problems on your hands. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sarah, is there anybody else with their hand up? Thank you. Again, it's a tough discussion, and I know we. So, again, I'll let him go before I say anything.
Good evening, it's Derek, 62 Andrews Ave. It's not like me not sitting there, but anyways, David, to kind of echo what you were saying, River Point is a mess. We can see it from our side. We know that there's been some incidents down there with homeless and whatnot. But, how much money did the town spend to make that nature path that they did down there with the mulch and cut all the brush down and all that stuff? Some money was spent to put that together. Now that's become a place to live. The other side of this is, you were talking about the camping thing, and I believe I saw it too somewhere, but I can't find it. At the end of the day, there's signs over there, and I've said this at the podium before. There's signs over at River Point about dusk till dawn. Okay, this park closes at dusk. Well, me as a taxpayer, I get to leave there at dusk. But then you got these people living in the woods that can stay there all night long and raise hell. Now, I can see them from our building when it gets dark. We got fires in the woods. And I've said this before. When those woods go up in smoke, we better pray it doesn't come across the river. So this whole encampment thing in River Point has got to come to an end. And I agree with Mark. It can't be happening where children underage are trying to enjoy themselves, and you could very easily have a predator in the woods. Okay, it just can't happen. Now you got this, we got to find a place to put them. We got to find a place. Listen, they're only going to accept what they're willing to put in. I've asked more than one of them if they wanted a job. They don't want to work. So, I feel bad at some points, and I don't feel bad on other points. But this thing with the parks, it can't happen. I mean, the town's just got to put their foot down. Got to put their foot down. They got to go. You cannot be, where kids are. You can't be near schools. You can't. There's a lot of ordinances in town where you can't do certain things near schools. You can't have a marijuana facility within a certain amount of feet from a school. So why do we have unidentified people not knowing if they're predators, sex offenders, whatever the case may be, within range of a school where the kids are playing? It's just all got to stop.
Why is it okay for them to choose that they don't want to go somewhere other than
And then
West Warwick?
you know, as Mark says, we'll close the park. Well, why are we gonna close the park because people wanna be ignorant or whatever they're doing over there? We shouldn't suffer from what other people are doing. But unfortunately, that's probably the easy solution, is shut the park down and then clean out the disposal. That's all I got.
Thank you.
Thanks, Derek.
I'd like to say something. You know, Jay made a comment tonight, Councilman Messier, about we're gonna have a meeting tonight, we're gonna talk about all this, and there's gonna be no resolution. You know,
That's how I feel. I
no,
hope that that's not the case, but that's how I feel.
I kind of feel this is the way this is going. I'm bringing up that issue again at Flat Top. This is the reason why I put this on the agenda. I don't feel that people should be able to be in the woods unattended, especially camping around a playground or a ball field. And I think we need to, again, where are they gonna go? I don't know, but this isn't the place for them to go. I'm not saying they should leave West Warwick. I'm not telling you to put them in another ward. I'm not saying that. This is not the right location. You know, in a humane way, I totally agree with Mr. Marzullo said. We shouldn't go in there with bulldozers ever, but they're people. And I've been in this position when I first got on the council. All of you know that. You know, it just kind of dumped into my lap. What are you gonna do about it? And the answer, Kathy, was, at the time, there was housing available. A select group in a certain area was on private land, so we could get away with doing different things. But now it's more of an epidemic than anything. But again, I put this on the agenda for a reason. I think these people need to leave this area.
And I
That's-
didn't disagree with you. I'm just
So
saying.
what- so
River
what
Point-
I
River
wanna-
Point is also a park.
Right, but I don't want to leave here tonight saying, all right, let's throw it all out there. And then like Jay said, nothing got accomplished. I think we need to make a decision on this. And the decision, no matter how you look at it, it sucks. It does. It sucks for everybody. But again, I think before we leave tonight, we need to I'm making a recommendation that we don't ever close the park down. It's not the park's fault. It was built there for a reason. Same thing with the gazebo. It bothered me so much to gate off that gazebo because there was nothing wrong with the gazebo. It was the people that were misusing it. That was the issue. And right now, I think we're in the same situation. The park, it's beautiful. The kids love it. People are concerned. Some parents feel unsafe. Too many people feel unsafe. And I think along with you, when we've had discussion, we're listening to these people. And we have to do something about it. That's our job. That's why we were elected. It's probably not a popular decision, but that's what I'm bringing to the table tonight. Or we had a discussion, and that's the action I'm putting forward for this. If you want to, I don't know much about what you're dealing with
I'm
over
talking
there.
about River Point.
Or I don't know
River Point
much
is
about what you're
the
dealing
same
with.
Situation.
Then
It's a park.
That's up to you
it's
to make
ball field,
a recommendation.
playground, everything that you're recommending because why it's there, right? And we have children that are running, the balls get over the fence, whatever, they're running back there. You know, and so I think both playgrounds should be vacated at this point.
I agree. I don't want people to think that I want to shut down any of these facilities that our families use. But when faced with no other option, I just don't want to see the worst case scenario take place. And if it did take place and we allowed the mingling of the two groups, then I don't know if I could live with myself on that. So I have empathy for those that are in need. I want everybody under a nice, warm roof in the wintertime, and I want them to have food and clothing. And I think those are things that we need to explore so we can make that happen. But that can't happen overnight, and that can't happen in the next month, and that probably can't happen in the next year. That's a long-term project. We have to do that the right way, so everybody's served properly. And in the meantime, it's our responsibility to keep our residents safe, especially the children, especially the children. So I think that's all I have to say about this. Other than Dave, I agree with you. It's not just a flat top problem. Obviously, we get those calls every day, every week. It's certainly
I've
a
got
River
calls
Point.
from Flat Top, like,
And I hear about River Point constantly. One of the things that I just don't know, and I think, Chief, you mentioned a number. I think you said in the 50s, 54? That's something I didn't know. I couldn't have told you if it was 5 or 500, but 54 is 54 too many. These people need help. We've got to get them the help. But in the meantime, we can't put families in jeopardy. We can't put children in jeopardy. You know, there was a suggestion about finding a non-recreation type area in town. I'm not opposed to that as long as we're working towards a long-term solution. But to echo what Jay said, Councilman Licciardi, we just cannot continue to have kids 50 feet away from people walking out of the woods with saws and knives and other things. Because that's what I'm hearing. We just can't do it.
Jeff, you have something?
I don't disagree with anything anybody's saying up here tonight. I see it on a daily basis. However, I don't believe shutting down the parks is the answer, and I'll tell you why. If you come through River Point on any given day on a Saturday or Sunday, there's between 300 and 500 people there, okay? You're gonna shut down the parks, you're gonna give them nothing to do. Problems are gonna get worse, okay? We have baseball fields, all the baseball fields going over there from 8 o'clock in the morning till 8, 9 o'clock at night, 6 days a week. Got soccer Saturday and Sunday, which has an average of between 300 and 400 kids every Saturday and Sunday. Flat top, you drive by there any given time now, that park is, you got, you know, this morning alone, there was like 20 people up there. So, shutting down the parks, I don't believe is the answer. I believe we have to come up with something. I 100% agree with you, and whatever we have to do, but I don't think shutting down the parks is the answer because you're gonna create a bigger
Well,
problem.
Jeff, I agree with you, but I will respectfully disagree because on another point, if my kids went through those facilities, River Point, Flat Top, we used to spend a lot of time at all of those. If at the time I had known, if that was the case back then, that there were people living in the woods 50 feet away that we couldn't identify as to what their issues are, then I wouldn't be using those facilities. I would have taken my business elsewhere. I'd go to Coventry, I'd go to Warwick Little League, I'd go wherever. And that's not what we want. We don't want to drive people away from these things. And when I say close these, I don't want to close them. I really don't. It's the only thing I can think of to make sure that these families and children will remain safe. And to be quite honest with you, I'll just say it like this, that's removing the wrong side of the equation. These facilities are for families and children. They are not for the homeless. The homeless is a problem that we need to attack in the right way and get them the help they need. But these facilities in particular are not for them. They're just not. And all the vitriol and everything that I heard over the last 2 weeks, that's why I'm acting the way I am, because people are more than just a little concerned. And we have to provide them answers, and it's our job to provide them safety as well.
And I agree. And we, just to keep in mind, we do have staff at River Point from 7 o'clock in the morning till most times the last person leaves, you know, whether it be 8, 10, 9, 10 o'clock at night. Flat Top, the guys from Parks are going up there a couple times a day. Myself and the assistant director drive by there multiple times a day. I'm not
Do
saying.
what? Is that their role?
They go up there and they clean up stuff, and they'll go up there and check the equipment, make sure the swings, 'cause a lot of times what happens is, on all the playgrounds, they'll take the swings, the older kids, and they throw them around the swing sets, you know, they'll
Yeah.
wrap the chain, so they'll go up there and unwrap them and stuff like that, and they mow it once a week. They go up there, they blow the parking lot off, they'll pick up trash daily, and they go to every park daily. Whether it be River Point, Brookside River, and pick up trash every morning. They go and pick up the trash that's people have thrown out their window of their cars, whatever the case may be. So, there is a presence there, not all day long at the outer parks, but River Point, there are people there from sun up to, 6, 7 o'clock in the morning until, at least 9 o'clock at night. Staff.
Right.
So I just, want to.
Work on the grounds though.
Correct. I just wanted to put that out there that there are town workers there in case there is an issue. Okay?
But it's not their
not- no, you're right.
responsibility to provide safety for
And the
those
police
families.
drive through there constantly, you know, they're always through there too. I just don't want to see any of our children suffer as far as not being able to play sports, because you know as well as I do, when you're a kid, that's what you're
Absolutely.
looking forward for too. You're
Absolutely.
looking forward to that baseball
There's
game,
no
you're looking
doubt.
forward to basketball and all that, and I
There's
don't
no
want to see
doubt.
that happen.
But I'll tell you what, in a discussion that doesn't have a lot of solutions, as much as it's a poor solution, it's a solution. And I agree, it's a poor solution. I don't like it. I don't want to do it. I'd feel terrible. But I'd feel more terrible if something bad should happen to a kid.
And I don't disagree with you at all. I really don't. That's all I wanted to say.
Somebody's cooking toast. This is the last public comment on this matter.
Is somebody on there? Because I'll let somebody else talk.
No, nobody's.
Thank you for that, because I think that's important. I just want to like kind of reiterate what I already said is, I hear you, you need a solution for the parks and the kids. I have kids, right? You know what I mean? So I don't disagree with you, but there has to be a solution for both. And I think that there is a way to come to that. And that is my suggestion, again, for an immediate possible, not solution, but option would be to identify a piece of property, maybe two. It might be a better idea to break up the crowd because it's a big crowd, across in a couple of areas that are more appropriate for the camps. And that will solve to the problem of the worries that are happening in the parks.
Do you
That,
have any suggested areas in mind?
I would ask Wendy. Wendy knows where everything is, but I don't know off the top of my head. I think that, because I don't know what is owned by private property and what's owned by the town. I wouldn't know that, I have that information. But I do think that could be a possible resolution as well. Because I do hear you, Jay, leaving without a resolution. I've been talking here for what, 4 years now? Even 5. I mean, at one point, I think it was even 6, maybe, a long time now. Whenever something comes up, but the thing is that, you guys all really have come up with solutions many, many times. This is a tough one. I also want to just clarify something that I think might have been misinterpreted. Even if the folks were willing to leave the West Warwick area, number one, they're residents of West Warwick, most, if not all. This is where they're from. Their families are here. They grew up here. And they probably have kids playing in the parks there too. And I just want to say that, and you can pass judgment all you want, but that's a reality. That's the truth. The other part is that there are other solutions. Like the armory that I mentioned was closed last year. That has not been opened. There are not other solutions in other areas anyway that they're refusing. It's not like somebody's going out there and saying, hey, there's a shelter, you want to go there? And they're saying, no, that's not happening in this situation. So I just wanted to kind of reiterate that. And so, I would suggest you think about, yes, I know you have to address the concerns of the parks, but you have to have a solution to where you're going to ask people to go. Because if you just say, you got to move your tent, where are they going to go? They're going to go somewhere else, and it might be on private property, and you're just going to keep going around in a circle and a circle and circle. And I want to just say once again, whether it was the right location or not, there was a conversation where most people were in agreement that there does need to be a brick and mortar, because that's the intermediate. We have to have something while we're building permanent supportive housing, right? I'm not saying the town is going to do that, but there is a plan to do that. There was a plan, 5 years ago I presented here, and that plan isn't gone, because I'm not going to sleep until something happens. And whether it be West Warwick, Coventry, or Warwick, it doesn't matter to me, but there needs to be something, and there needs to be increased permanent supportive housing. But in the meantime, we have to have some kind of solution for brick and mortar for people. So that's it. And I'll leave you all alone. Go home now.
Thank you, Kathy. All right. So where do we stand?
The tents on public property.
I can speak for the ones at Flat Top, that they're in the woods.
Theoretically, it didn't happen.
Can you just come up if you want? I was going, actually,
Theoretically, what didn't happen in Providence was to give ample, eventually, I think in some of the locations they did, but it still could have been choreographed much better. But I mean, theoretically, the Thrive and the social service agencies could give notice to that population and tell them they have 72 hours or, 5 days in which to take advantage of the support services and be transitioned out. Otherwise, we're going to remove you because you're on public property and we have concern for the safety of the community. So, I mean, if you coordinate something with the support agencies to help get the majority of them out of there before you do the police thing, I mean, but where do they go? I mean, that other side has to be handled by the state of Rhode Island. And my understanding is that there's only one person that has the authority and access to the coordinated entry system for West Warwick through Thrive, that no other individuals or parties have access to that resource. So it's a very controlled and not necessarily immediately accessible all the time for the social service providers. So
Thank you. So Jay,
Yeah.
you summed it up basically. I think, I'm not sure if we could take a motion on that tonight, but
Well, do we know the legality of it, first of all?
You've
And-
got another new business, discussion action.
Yeah.
But you've got, I would say, at least 10 balls juggling up in the air right now.
Right.
You all say, we don't want to do this, but we have to do this to appease this pot. The minority is pulling the majority by the nose. Do we have trespass issues? Do we have liability issues? Do we have risk exposure? All sorts of things. Because, and again, I'm not saying anything derogatory about the way you guys are thinking, but when somebody says about homeless, and I've been going through this, Mr. Mazzullo knows a long time back when I was in the General Assembly. There's no answer because somebody says, how many child molesters are there? Jokingly, I said to our manager, the same question could be asked, how many college graduates are there? Because they're homeless for economic reasons, financial reasons. So when somebody says, hey, we don't know what's going on there, I would say the people that live in your homes next to you, your apartments and your condominiums, those are the same people that have alcohol problems, they have psychological problems, they're criminals, right? But because they're not homeless, you don't look at them like, oh my God, they're going to approach little Bobby at the sandbox and do something. Understood. But at the same time, it's very simple. Tell the chief, get all the trespassers off of public property right now. What do you do with them? They're going to go to court and they're not going to be held. They're going to be released. They're going to come right back here and move to a different part of town until they get caught again. You're not going to stop it. Now, as days go by, weeks go by, there's going to be more people. Somebody just said it's going up by 10%. All right. So if you have 50, then you have 100, then you have 175, and it keeps going up. What's your answer? And again, I'm being very honest. There is no answer. There's nothing you can really do because if you take this group here as being homeless and you remove them and they go into something that's being provided by the state, which may or may not happen, there'll be another 30 just like you next week. When you first came on, I remember we had a discussion about what can we do about those people, right? And my suggestion was what? You remember?
No.
You can try as much as you can, but you're not going to fix the problem. The problem's been here. When somebody says it's brick and mortar, Vinny, you've been around long enough to know. Where are the millions of dollars for the brick and mortar, and how come these things have not been built anywhere in the state of Rhode Island for the past 5 years? It's not going to happen. David, they're building things in East Greenwich, but they're taking people that already have places in Warwick and they're putting them in East Greenwich. Not people off the street, but people that actually have, and you ask for an answer and you don't get anything. So when you say we want to remove the kids, or excuse me, the people near, say, recreational facilities, parks, ball fields, we have 8 square miles in this town. Take out the river, you have 6.5. You can't throw a rock without hitting a park, a school, a church, or anything like that. So if someone says we're going to put them up in the town of West Warwick on a piece of property that the town of West Warwick owns, where are you going to find something that's going to suit, say, 100 people? That's not going to be near a church, a school, a bar, a park. It's just not going to happen. And I know I'm spinning things around, but when you think about it, what can you do tonight by way of an action of this council that's going to fix things tomorrow without involving all the groups of people that have already been discussed here tonight. And on the same token, you have, again, your NIMBYs. You're not going to put that 75 to 100 bed facility or tent city near our house. That's not going to happen. We're going to put it in the parking lot of a particular, I don't know, mill, just for argument's sake. Everybody in that neighborhood was going to come here and say, you're not going to put them next to us. You're not going to remove them from the woods at Flat Top or River Point or Natick and put them next to us. So you got the same battle going on. How do you appease that new group of people, the NIMBYs that don't want them in their backyard? So every time you turn around with this issue, unless there's a place right now that's got, I don't know, 600 beds that you could put those people in, considering that they want to go there, because there are people that don't want to go there. There are people that do want to stay outside. And that's for different reasons. But suppose you were able to fill 75% of those beds. You'd have to have that location ready right now. You don't. So I mean,
So is it possible, Kathy and Wendy, could you have conversations with the people at Flat Top and encourage them very nicely that they should move? I can't tell you where, because I don't know where, Kathy. I don't know Wendy, but
and
to start the conversation. Yes,
Sorry,
Wendy.
Wendy Boudreau, 34 Patuxent Terrace. I've had this conversation already.
Okay.
We can ask the person that's over at Flat Top to move now.
There's one person?
There's one person right now. It looks like a lot more, but it's one.
What somebody said was the number that was given before for the town, for the whole town, the number that you gave, chief.
No.
So there's
Flat
about
Top.
Oh, I
54
know.
total.
All right, 54 totals. for the
There's
town.
one person presently behind Flat Top.
You can just ask that one person.
Yeah, I can, but they're gonna move to Dave's area.
When Dave can
I
come back
mean,
next
or-
meeting and
or
ask
they're
him to
gonna
Back
move
to Jay's area.
I mean,
Go
To
back
behind the
over.
manor, like,
What I want to point out is River Point is next to the kids.
exactly. Well, this is what I'm saying.
all
So
next to the kids.
is it, I was on the GIS maps trying to map out the back of Flat Top, and it looks like there's an awful lot of land. But then we got Coventry bordering it. We have Coventry residents reaching out to our town complaining. Like, exactly, what is the answer? We're going round and round. I moved the people out of Pulaski Street for everybody. I moved the people off over by Walker Street on private property. They're down at River Point. They're near you. Not at Flat Top, but near you. So where are they gonna go? And so the more people that you put together, we have both chiefs out there rescuing people who's getting thrown in a river, who's fallen in a river, who's having a knife fight, like just whatever it is, because you have all these folks together. I don't know what the answer is. I can certainly ask them to move. I have grandchildren. We play at the parks. My daughter does not feel safe. I'll tell you that right now. I agree with everything you're saying, but we also need a solution. So what is it? I don't know. We had Manor Drive. That was town property, state property, the railroad bed, whatever. You know, the folks from NATCO came in, cleaned out the encampment illegally, I might say, then went ahead and cut down 30 trees. And now the area is all bulldozed. That's not even their property. That's your property. That belongs to you guys. And nobody says anything. I can't get involved in property line disputes, but I'm throw it out there right now. Where do you want them to go? There was no houses on that side. Yeah, we had senior housing across the street, but that was outsiders disturbing the peace over there, not our folks. I don't know what to say. And now, obviously, a problem with Main Street. I tried to take care of that, but it kind of fell through because of funding. So what is the answer? Where do they go? I don't know. And like Tim said, we're 8 miles. 6.5 if you take the river out, which, I mean, maybe we move them all to Johnson's Pond. It's dry. I don't know what to say. Like,
That's an idea.
what do we do? I mean, So yeah,
Wendy, I
I
think-
I can ask them to move, but they're only gonna move to Dave's area.
No
And then,
disrespect to what you're doing, because we all know that you're doing a
oh,
lot.
listen,
and
I
you're
don't wanna be
out there
doing
all
this.
the
I
time.
wanna be doing food access and gardening and doing the orchard, like,
And nobody has the answer. You know, I'm looking at more of this over at Flat Top is not the answer. And it's causing an unsafe situation. And I knew you were somebody was gonna come up with a question tonight, well, where do they go? Because that's the obvious question.
Of course.
I don't have the answer. All I know is right here is unsafe and make the people who are using it unsafe, and that's what it's intended for. And we just can't have it.
I have these conversations on
Daily
a
basis.
daily basis. I mean, look at the bags. I have bags under my bags, like, yeah. But yes, I can have that
If
conversation.
you would
and ask
have
them
that
to move.
conversation with that one individual, I feel more encouraged that it's
So,
one
I
individual.
mean, I will tell you that one individual does have, he had a vehicle. I mean, it was unregistered. It was in a municipal lot, got towed. We could get his vehicle out of there and get it towed to North Kingston on private property, and he would then have a shelter. So if anybody wants to help me come up with $850, then we can do that. I tried to work with the service station to let them know, like, we gotta go easy on this one, but yeah, I mean, there's an option.
Yeah, exactly.
So
Yeah.
again,
I mean.
again,
I'm not gonna
the
ask.
action, the action of
I
the
mean, we
council,
know.
all right,
No, no.
knowing what you've heard tonight and your own thoughts and ideas, the action of the council, I mean, you can declare homelessness to be a dangerous condition based upon some of the things that you've heard. Fires, people get thrown into the water, DEM complications. Once that happens, now you're going to allow enforcement of your own building codes and property codes and the police. But the result is going to be, they're going to be removed. They could possibly be arrested. If they are, they're not going to be held. They're going to come right back. So even if you make a declaration, it's a dangerous issue. We have to take care of it. You're not going to stop it from happening. Nancy Reagan said there's a war on drugs. How many years ago? How do we make out with that one?
Just say no.
We had to legalize weed. But the point what I'm getting at is whatever action you guys want to take tonight officially, it's not going to get the result that you're looking for, especially in a very timely manner. It's not going to happen tomorrow. Because as many people, and again, does somebody actually have a number that they estimate of homelessness in West Warwick right now?
54.
Is that
54.
the number?
Yeah.
All right. And how was that census created? Because I got to feel that there's more than that.
Census guys come out there, the same thing.
Yeah, right.
Well, we would have to.
No, just, okay, okay. All right. So,
They go out on a regular basis and see visit the encampments.
but I
Yeah.
always feel that there's a portion of the population that doesn't want to be recorded. They may not be there when the others come out. But anyway, what I'm saying is this, you can do, and you can direct department heads to enforce current ordinances, laws and statutes. But I don't think you're going to get the result you want. But that's just my opinion.
I'm going to vote with Wendy taking care of that flat top issue for us, because I know
Right. I know
she
she's
will,
very
she will
honest
do
with
that. She will do that. But it's a bigger problem, and it's an issue that we have to come up with a solution.
All right, where do we?
We may have one at July 31st, right? Possible solution.
A domino effect, but yes. So,
But you can revisit this issue.
absolutely.
Yes,
And we
I
will.
think we need to.
I mean,
think
it's an
this-
issue, actually, it does get discussed every week. So there is an ongoing conversation because as the group said, if we don't do that now, in next winter, we'll be wondering where people are going to be for the winter. So we have to figure it out now.
Thank you.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you, Vin.
When do the vouchers run out?
End of the month,
To May 31st.
right?
You're gonna need to monitor the uptick of activity.
Yep.
Yep. All right, next item.
Hi, Bert.
The town manager, right? Mark got this, had Bill.
Yep.
Right now, they're trying. That might be
Yeah.
Yeah, we're waiting to see.
I
on
assume that there'll be an answer in June. Right. So I think we will hear by June, when they usually announce many of their decisions. And my understanding is that the testimony seemed to lean towards supporting the city and the municipality as opposed to the encampments, but I don't know, and I agree with you. That will be, nope, but it's a decision. Yes, right.
Thank you, Bert. Number 3.
Discussion action, award of 2 scholarships to the West Warwick High School Senior Awards Bank.
I put this on just to let the council know we're getting to that time of year where we have the funds available to West Warwick seniors for their book award night, which is coming up. And I've been in talks with Karen to get Superintendent Tarasevich to get that ball rolling. So I know we're not meeting next, only meeting now.
Yep.
So that award is going to come out prior to our next meeting. So done.
The amount is 500 each?
500 each.
So I move approval of 2 $500 scholarships to be awarded to West Warwick High School seniors.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Um,
We're gonna go back to F.
Oh, yes.
We do have one item left because
Yeah.
Sal wanted to be late.
First reading of ordinance 20.
out of here. We wouldn't have had to sit there for an hour.
All right, go ahead, Sam.
Sorry. First reading of ordinance 2024-4, amending chapter 18 taxation, section 18-1 elderly exemptions, and section 18-4 veterans exemptions.
Move the ordinance.
Sal,
The General Assembly House has passed it.
Yep.
I believe it was in front of the Senate today. Assume they're going to pass it. The governor will sign it. Looking for you to pass it tonight, first reading, and then the second reading at the town financial meeting. So that way we can process the increase for the bills that are coming out in June. The amount equals the $75,000 that's going to come out of the budget that we discussed at the last meeting. It'll be an increase of approximately $25 to $30 per senior and veteran, or about 2,900 of them in town.
any questions for Sal?
Thank you for the work you did with this, Sal. You know, this is a start, I'm hoping.
And with the General Assembly passing, it gives us an opportunity to increase it at our will without needing them to do anything in future years.
That was the idea of making it a big number. So,
Right,
so I
right.
don't want anybody to think it's going to that number. We set the number at 75,000 in the budget
Right.
process.
Right.
And
Yes.
we had questions in-house. Do we have to do this ourselves? Can we just make ours say up to? Well, no, because the current one says 10, the
Right.
new one will say up to that.
Right.
We don't make a decision on an exact amount now. We wouldn't know what to
Right.
make it. So that's why we picked that 15.7.
Any other questions for Sal? Any public comment on this ordinance? Hearing none, I'll take a roll call vote. Jay?
Yes.
Jay?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
Mary Beth?
Yes,
And I vote yes.
thanks, Sal.
Thank you, Sal.
All right, upcoming appointments, Sewer Use Board of Review, appointment to fill a vacancy as an alternate member for a 3-year term. Sewer Use Board of Review, appointment to fill a vacancy as a regular member for a 3-year term. Tax Assessment Board of Review, appointment to fill a vacancy for a 3-year term. School Building Committee, Tree Warden, Recreation Committee, appointment to fill a vacancy for a 3-year term. Planning Board, appointment to fill a vacancy as a regular member for a term ending July 2027, and then also potentially an alternate. Public forum.
Before we get into public forum, I just want to read a letter I received tonight. Dear Mr. Goslin, the West Warwick firemen and EMTs are terrific. They came to help me twice in 1 week. They deserve a citation plaque from you. I have 40% kidney failure and balance issues. Take care and best wishes to you, my friend, David Rock. So, Chief, you know, this is definitely speaks volumes for you and your department. I wanted to read that. David has been, you know, I know he's a friend of mine, a friend of Tom Noray's, and he's always been involved in the politics. You know, when he lives at 1070 Main Street, real nice guy, but you know, he definitely appreciates the work that your department has done for him. Thank you.
And it's handwritten. That's, you don't get
It's
too many
it's
hits.
right?
Yeah.
So you don't get many handwritten ones then.
No,
Yeah, I want to give him a call after.
Thank you, Chief, and you guys.
Public comment. Any comment from the public? Just come up to the microphone. You need to come up to just state your name and address for the record.
Karina Aguirre, 41 Green Street, West Warwick. So I live at 41. There's a condo association being built. I'd like to know what's going on with the dust control. I reached out to a few people already. I didn't get a call back, said that they would take care of it. So I was waiting for a call. So I'm here. I'm probably going to be here every meeting going forward because, you know, the dust control is awful. You know, always, you know, washing my house down. My windows are constantly, they're digging. There's no spraying going on. There's no water whatsoever. I had a conversation last week and they said they would get on top of it. He's still digging and I haven't seen no water. I know it's been raining, but there's a pile of cement sand there. It's all dry. I'd really like to know what's going on with it. And I did have somebody stop by my house today to ask me, you know, what's going on with it. As well, you know, there's a town meeting, you want to come, was walking the dog, you know, they're going to be calling probably tomorrow themselves because it's out of control. There's no privacy. It's all down. It's been going on for years. So I really like to know what's going on.
So I know I sent an email last week about, and I think I sent you a copy of that email about the dust control.
Well, I know you said you sent it, but I didn't see no email heading that it's sent by an email,
That's,
but
I sent the email to the building official, the town planner.
Mhm.
I'm not sure if I think Mark was CC'd on it. So the residents of the area, they have air conditioning units, they have jacuzzis, they have, you know, all sorts of things. And now they're having to maintain it more often than not, you know, so as the summer's coming on, people are going to start turning on their AC units. The dust is going to fly, the dust is flying in the area. Now, I know Bob visited the site, Bob Assalone, he had a conversation. I know the builder called me directly, said he was going to put down a calcium something or another.
that
I-
has not happened.
I don't know if that has happened. I can't speak yes or no. You probably can because you live there. So, you know, the conversations with the builder, they're talking about maybe stopping the project altogether and coming forward with another project. So I don't know where we stand. I'm just, you know, trying to get answers for Karina and a couple other residents that have reached out to me. Like I said, I did speak to the builder also, but I don't know what Bob's questions or concerns, if anything has been addressed over there.
I do
I know
know-
we've talked about this, not just in this facility, but in other developments. of-
where is this one?
This one's Harris Ave. It's KGB Builders, which is Kevin Wilburton's
Yep.
son. I know we've talked about dust control and we've gotten answers that it's the building official's responsibility on the dust control. and it should be that responsibility. As far as I was told, I know Jay, I know we talked about this numerous times. And I know I said to Jay, I have the same issue in my area and I knew what issue it was. But again, there is piles there were stockpiles. And this is a 5-year project. And I did explain to the builder, I said, it's been 5 years that you've dumped material. So I can understand that the residents are starting to get PO'd because we're not talking about a project that is continued. Since I've been on the council in '06, that project has been moved on, postponed, and the residents over there have been dealing with it for going on 18 years. And in 2018 is when everything got land cleared, somewhere in that vicinity. In the last election, I know I walked right up to Karina's door and she was having a yard sale that day and she pointed out the pile. Well, that pile's been sitting there for 2+ years, going on 2 years. We're going on to the next election. That pile's been sitting there uncovered, blowing in the wind.
It's as high as his house.
It's higher. You used to be able to see it right over the top. So again, I understand the frustration of the residents. I understand the builder has to continue working, but I understand you're gonna get a little dust, but there's, according to the residents, there's no dust control whatsoever. Now, if you're building 27 units, 26 units, I've always seen a water truck on site watering down, and that should be.
According to Bob, it has to be.
And not in this situation, it's not. So,
Well, the water control, he uses a water hose from his house, near my house, to sprinkle down that section, a water hose.
I don't mean to laugh, but it's
It
just-
is a joke.
it's-
That's only because I called the town. He made some comments, crossed away. So we're not on good terms. So I work from home. I have to keep my doors locked because I can't trust my own neighbor, because of the comments he's made. So, it's out of control. I know last time I talked to Bob and then I spoke to you, he did a hissy fit. He says he's going to build 3-story buildings. Let him do whatever he wants, but still you should be doing things the right way. And that's all we ask. He complained about the privacy trees. I have no privacy. He put trees up, but they're so far apart, they're going to take years. If that job has been there forever, those trees would have developed already. Now, my neighbor down the street on Woodside, they're going to be calling the town this week because one of the trees on their fence has been there forever. They want privacy. I'm not here for them. I'm here for myself. I can't open my windows. I can't enjoy my backyard. It's a horrible situation. And if I have to come to every meeting and repeat myself over and over, which I shouldn't have to, I'm a taxpayer. I keep my property clean. If you go by his property, 45, he doesn't even cut his grass. I have to call the town hall and then they call him and he has somebody out and cut his grass. His yard looks like crap. So it's a little annoying and I would appreciate if somebody can do something. He's already upset with me. It doesn't matter to me. I'm not his best neighbor. He's not mine. I just want him to do things the right way. I don't care that he's building either. It's not that. It's to do the right thing.
Is there any way going forward, because I'm dealing with a very similar situation where I can't get an answer, and I'm a councilman, and I can't get an answer, and definitely won't be from the builder. Can we make so these people are building in residential areas, they're building in neighborhoods, they're not out in a field and constructing, 10, 12 new homes somewhere. Could we require the builder, along with an official from the town, which may be, not looking at the town manager, but you're right across from me, so, but if the building official is going to be, or the planner, the point person from the town, have that, not to have a gripe session, but a actual communication of, because I've always heard the builder come in, oh, we want to be a good neighbor. You haven't been a good neighbor so far. Because I'm the same way. I have to call the town now for the 4th year in a row for this guy to cut his grass that's this high, which is not right at all. And I just think an initial meeting with the neighbors that will be affected should happen and should be mandatory. Just so as a neighbor to this development, you know exactly what's going on. You know that we're starting at this point, we may run into some problems, but the projected goal is this is what we're doing. What's going up? You said condos,
So Jay,
might be
I don't want
houses.
to cut you off, but that did happen in this situation. The meeting was at Melanzi's. Now, I don't know if Karina was there.
It was the very beginning.
It was in the very
So
beginning.
it's 5 years.
But here's the problem, right? It's going on 5 years, right? This is the problem I have with these developments going in, taking 5 and 10 years of disruptions of the neighborhood's lives, the neighborhood's livelihood. There needs to stop being deadlines to these projects. So if a 26 unit comes in, you say, okay, we want to see it done in 2 years or 3 years. I'm talking, we go in, we put a foundation in, drive out, go start another project down the road. We'll come back, we'll put another foundation in. We'll go start another project down the road. We'll come back. We'll start digging on a Sunday because I feel like I want to run my backhoe today. That's what's happened. And we're going on 5 years of it. And I did stress that to one of the builder's father. Okay. And I said to him that, and just to make it clear, it's not, Kevin Wilbur is not it's Justin Wilbur who's the builder on this project, where Kevin was the builder of the last 2 projects, but they work together. And I know if this was, I had North Pleasant Street condos behind me, and I got 5 years of jackhammering. I live with it because I'm not getting dust. I'm not getting problems. I can handle the jackhammering. Even the residents up there, they're not getting the dust. They're not getting all the headaches that this little neighborhood's getting.
So what's
And
happening too, we're all on slabs. Most of those houses slabs, we have radiant heat. And he's breaking ground and you can hear he's hitting ledge. So the person's going to be calling this week, he's right behind her house now. And we can hear it hitting ledge. My windows are closed. My house shakes. I'm on a slab. Most of those houses are slabs. It's radiant heat. So, you might have foundation issues. He's got something there now. He dug a hole where he hit ledge, and I seen it, heard it, because I work from home, so I hear it all day long. He put cement sand there over it, but behind my house there's 3 foundations now. When it rains, it's like a river behind those 3 foundations. Like, what's there? Where's that water coming from? So it's a lot of issues. Nobody sees it because, nobody's going there investigating. Whoever went on a wet day so they don't see no dust run, wind. Well, how are you going to see something if it's a rainy day? So.
thank you. Mark, Karina, if you want to, do you mind if I share your information with Mark, your cell phone? All right, now,
All the truth.
no, not the information, your cell phone and your email. I don't think I have your email, but I can give you her cell phone later.
My email is my first, last name at Cox.net.
And the builder official's office in Maryland's office have her name and number, don't worry.
Yeah, last time I booked things off.
Any other public comment?
Make a motion to move into executive session.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes